Your Boyfriend Diary. Episode 30.
The 3rd of October, 4:53 p.m. You find DJ Duncan at the skate park with his friends. Duncan greets you excitedly, hugging you as you kiss him hello. He says he has a special date planned for later as you both sit down. But you confess what had happened last night. You tell him Emily got you LSD teddy bears, and how you slept with someone who you thought was Arno. Duncan is stunned. He hides his anger as he wipes the tears off your cheeks, begging you not to cry. Duncan says it's not your fault, and that he's just glad you're safe. But you can sense his anger, which he tends to hide so well. Duncan holds your face close and says it's okay. He admits that you're not together, but that he's changing that now. You feel so out of place, and ask if he really wants to make things official. But Duncan nods and says you'll both celebrate later. He asks if that's okay, to which you softly say yes. Duncan says you won't be going anywhere without him from now on. You say you have your own life and friends, but Duncan tells you it's final. He's stern and serious now. Duncan then asks if you knew the guy you slept with. You can hardly bring yourself to speak. You tell him you slept with Liam. He looked just like Arno at the bar. Duncan groans as he lets go of your hands. You over-explain everything as he runs his fingers through his hair. He finally snaps, and asks why you'd get with the one guy he simply cannot stand. Duncan tells you you've both already been through so much. Why would you put both of you through this now as well? He asks if Liam spiked your drink. You say no, and that it was a mistake. Duncan shakes his head and says you both need to go. Duncan greets Dylan and Oliver, before you both leave. The 3rd of October, sunset. Duncan takes you to an authentic Mexican restaurant downtown. He tells the waiter he made a booking earlier. You and Duncan sit down, eyes glancing at each other. You page through the menu as you and Duncan sit in silence. He takes your hand and asks if you're okay. You say yes, and tell him he doesn't have to pretend he's fine. Duncan says he'd be fine with any other guy but Liam. You ask if he'd rather you hook up with a stranger instead. Duncan tells you Liam's to blame, especially seeing how wasted you were last night. You and Duncan softly argue before he tells you to leave the situation, as he wants to enjoy the night with you. You agree and let him order. Later, he pulls you into a hug outside. He says you're finally his, and that he barely had a moment to acknowledge it. He kisses your head as you wrap your arms around his tall body. Duncan tells you not to think about anything, and that everything's finally the way it needs to be.